AITA for not letting my daughter go back to her mom early? My ex and I have a 6-year-old daughter. We divorced when she was 6 months old and I moved out of state shortly after, so I only see her for a weekend every 36 months. She developed severe anxiety in June after an incident at her daycare. My ex has used this as an excuse to not have her spend overnights with me. She'd drop my daughter off with me in the morning, pick her up after dinner, then drop her off again the next morning. I tolerated it for 2 visits, but 2 weeks ago I said she is going to be with me the whole weekend, without her mom picking her up for bath and bed or calling every couple hours. My ex protested and said our daughter isn't ready for that, but I have a right to spend these weekends with her without her mom interfering. My ex dropped her off on Saturday morning and was back at my house before lunch, saying our daughter called her and asked to go home. Then my daughter came running out with her backpack and didn't want to come back inside. I eventually picked my daughter up, brought her inside, and took her backpack. My ex-wife gave her a phone so she could call behind my back. The next day and a half were hell. She was having accidents everywhere, barely ate, wouldn't take a bath, and didn't go to bed until after midnight. My ex picked her up on Sunday night and my daughter started crying like I had been torturing her all weekend. Now my ex is trying to take me to court to further reduce my custody and increase my child support, which I think is just to punish me for not letting her pick my daughter up early. She and her family are calling me a horrible dad, and she hasn't called me or let me speak to my daughter since that visit, so I wanted to know if I was the asshole. YTA, your daughter is having extreme anxiety and your solution is to force more anxiety upon her. Well done. She needs to feel safe. FK your custody agreement. I can't believe she has to take you to court to see that your daughter needs to be at her mom's for nights until this gets worked out. Hopefully she's already in therapy. You were at least seeing her during the day, but that wasn't good enough. And now, since you decided to force her, she doesn't want to see you at all. Are you proud? Info. You moved away and so only can do visitation every 36 months. Does her mother fly her, road trip the kid to you and get a motel in your town? How is it that her mother is able to pick up and drop off the kid multiple times over the weekend? You really think you have a right to anything when you see your kid once every 36 months? Your child barely knows you and staying over is clearly not in her best interest right now. Your child was traumatized and you let it happen to prove a point to your ex. This behavior is disgusting. Step up. YTA. YTA, your daughter doesn't know you. You're the one who made the decision to abandon her and move away. You are aware that something traumatic has happened to her but still forced her to do what you wanted. Then you complain about her having accidents and not wanting to stay with you. Your ex was very thoughtful when she suggested picking your daughter up for the nighttime routine, so she could sleep in her own bed. YTA for moving out of state when you had a 6-month-old daughter and only seeing her 24 times per year. At this point you are just basically the sperm donor. She doesn't know you and doesn't feel comfortable spending the weekend with a strange man. Her mother should absolutely have your visitation reduced. Wow. Your ex drives to you and stays at her expense so that you can see your child. What kind of stand-up dad do you think you're being? Think about it. You did torture her all weekend. I get wanting that time. But your kid and her mental health should come first. There's no age limit on the impacts of mental health issues. Be better. Put yourself aside and do what's best for her. In this case, was being with her mom for overnight. That's crib notes for you. I'll spare the wall of text. ETA YTA. YTA. You did torture your daughter. You put her through so much stress that she had accidents. Barely ate and didn't sleep well. Why? So you could make a power play on your ex. Your ex who caters to you by bringing your daughter to you. You can't even be a decent human being to your own small child who went through trauma. You're in awe of the worst kind. Let me make sure I understand. You only see her every 6 months for a weekend? For how many years has that gone on? So you get that even though you are her dad, you're practically a stranger to her? And if you moved away, how is your ex managing to take her home and bring her back the next day? I'm confused. So you take her pre-existing anxiety and then having to see someone that she barely knows? I wouldn't even expect my grandkids to spend the night without their parents. They live out of state and I see them 1x a year. Please give her some grace. She's only 6 and although you're her dad and want to be involved, you need to spend more time with her. I'm guessing you get vacation time? Go spend some 3-day weekends in her town. Stay in a hotel where there is a swimming pool or something she likes to do. You're almost a stranger to her. YTA for putting her through this. YTA. You didn't look out for your daughter's best interest because you're trying to be spiteful. Depending on what happened at the daycare, your ex might be granted full custody as a result of this. YTA. Your daughter was clearly frightened because she barely knows you. You ignored all of her fear and anxiety and expected to. What? Did you think that just because you finally show up that you'll be a comfortable place? That is going to take time. You don't deserve love because you donated sperm. She needs space to get to know you. YTA. That was horrible that you forced her to endure that. Worst of all, your daughter now associates you with fear. It's going to take a lot of time and patience to earn her love and respect. You don't get that just because you are her parent. Is your daughter getting therapy? It sounds like that is what is needed more than anything else. YTA. Now my ex is trying to take me to court to further reduce my custody. Good. Your daughter deserves better. YTA. You put your own needs before your daughter. She experienced a trauma and didn't feel comfortable staying with you. Instead of thinking about what was best for her, you thought about what you wanted. YTA. You did what you wanted, not what was best for your daughter. Your ex was right. She wasn't ready yet. Was forcing the issue worth it? My ex-wife gave her a phone so she could call behind my back. IFE gave her a phone so she could call behind my back. This is a scary-ass sentence. YTA. YTA. You admit your daughter did not want to go back inside with you. You can't tell me she wasn't crying and begging for her mom to get her while you put her back in your house. Congratulations. She had a traumatic event, and you just set back her progress to 0. Because, by God, you're gonna make her stay in your house. Because it's your turn with your new toy. I mean your daughter. Her opinions? She's too young for those. She's only 6. In case you haven't figured it out, she is not a houseplant, a car, an inanimate object you share and take turns with. You don't own your child. You are only in charge of her long enough to grow up. And if you do a good job, she'll visit long after you legally keep her. If not, she'll view aging out as an escape and will never see you again. You have to decide. Are you investing in her future and helping her grow into a healthy, functioning adult? Or are you just owning her time until she can legally run? YTA. Quit playing power and control games with your daughter. Ultimately, it doesn't matter what the court documents say. If your daughter is terrified and upset being with you, then you need to respond appropriately. You're so concerned with your rights that you don't even care about your daughter's trauma. You haven't even talked about what happened at her daycare that upset her so much. You are 100% the asshole here. Be more concerned with your daughter's feelings than your rights. YTA, this is not about you. Your ex isn't trying to punish you for not letting her pick the child up early. She is trying to protect the child from your poor judgment. Your actions exacerbated the child's trauma, and this incident will likely set back progress she's made in therapy. A child's physical and mental well-being trump your desire to spend time with her uninterrupted. Her primary caregiver, mother, told you that your daughter wasn't ready for overnight visits with you. You refused to listen, which led to your daughter experiencing extreme emotional distress. Her inability to eat, sleep, bathe, and the multiple accidents were her body's way of telling you that she was not okay at your home without her mother. Put aside whatever petty issues you have with her mother, and start thinking about what is best for your daughter. Why not ask your ex what you can do to help your child through this trying time? YTA. Now my ex is trying to take me to court to further reduce my custody. Good. Your daughter deserves better.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.